Now, for the input voltages below the 2 volts, diode is reverse biased. When the diode is reverse biased, the voltage at the anode is less as compared to the voltage at the cathode, so that the diode is reverse biased. That is, current I is equal to 0. That is, this part of the circuit, it is open circuited because the diode is reverse biased and it is replaced by a open circuit. Now, if KVL is applied at the output voltage is equal to 2 volts minus IR, I is equal to 0, because among these two loops, input loop and the output loop, it is the open circuited, so that current I is equal to 0, output voltage it is also equal to 2 volts. The voltages below 2 volt is totally clipped off and is not available at the outputs. For any of the voltages which are below the 2 volts, but output it is limited to 2 volts. Whatever may be the voltage which is below the 2 volts, but the output voltage it is limited to only the 2 volts. Here the waveform it will be from the 2 volts to 5 volts, because whatever the voltage which is below 2 volts it is clipped off. Now, the second example that we shall consider here, for the input voltages above 2 volts, that the diode it is forward biased. Here, previous example, it is a diode. For that one, the diode it is in series with the input. Now here the diode it is in parallel with the input, and if some battery voltage or a DC voltage is connected in series with the diode, so that depending upon our requirement we shall clip the waveform above or below that reference voltage. Same analysis can be repeated here. For the input voltages above 2 volts, the diode is forward biased, because the voltage at this anode is more than the voltage at the cathode, so that the diode is forward biased. For the input voltages above 2 volts, this diode is forward biased. And the output voltage it is equal to 2 volts. Output voltage is equal to the 2 volts. The input voltages that is here, first of all, why it is 2 volts? Because here this one it is the positive and negative, and here it is negative and positive. If KVL is applied at the output, so the output voltage is equal to the 2 volts. The input voltages above 2 volts, it is totally clipped off and is not available at the outputs. That is, the voltages above 2 volt is totally clipped off and is not available at the outputs because the whatever may be the voltage above 2 volts, but the output it is limited to only 2 volts. For the input voltages below 2 volts, this diode is reverse biased. For the input voltages below 2 volts, this diode is reverse biased and the output voltage is equal to the input voltage. Output voltage is equal to the input voltage. For the input voltages, below 2 volt, the diode is reverse biased. For the input voltages below 2 volt, this diode is reverse biased and the output voltage is equal to the input voltage. Why it is reverse biased? Because the voltage at the anode is less as compared to the cathode. Because at the cathode it is 2 volts, but at the anode it is less than 2 volts. For the input voltages below 2 volts, so that the whatever that input it appears at the output voltage is equal to the input voltage. Entire input is available at the output for the input voltages below 2 volts. So that here it is 2 volts, here 0, and the entire the negative half cycle it will appears, and the up to that 2 volts in the positive half cycle it is also appears, and whatever the input signal which is above 2 volts it is totally clipped off. It is not available at the output. That is for the one of the example of a parallel clipping circuit with a DC input voltage. Now this is the one of the example of a clipping circuits. Here two diodes are used with two DC voltages in series with the diodes. For diode D1, a plus 2 volts DC is connected in series with the diode. For the diode D2, a minus 2 volts DC it is connected in series with the diode D2. Here this type of the clipping circuits are known as the clipping at two independent levels. Because if only one diode is used, that is only one level, one reference level for which you shall clip the input voltage above or below one reference level or one voltage. But two levels you shall clip the input voltage above two levels. Here this type of the circuits are also known as the clipping at two independent levels. for the input voltages above 2 volt, D1 is on, D2 is off. Why D1 is on? Why the D1 is on? Because the input voltage above 2 volts, so that voltage at the anode is positive to as compared to the voltage at the cathode, so that D1 is forward biased. Now